afternoon, everyone. My name is Edward Roski. I'm CEO here at Interrel. I will be your assistant moderator for today's panel discussion. Like much of the rest of the work today, the real work will be done by our primary moderator and our most awesome panel assembled from our speakers here today. I have to say that of all of the EPM summits we've done, the retail one has been by far my favorite because it's not only given us a chance to showcase a lot of different companies and all the things that they've been going through. This is the only time when I haven't had to present anything. So when this panel is over, I'm going to do 4 quick slides, just wrapping up, telling everybody about additional ways to get information. But aside from that, all the hard work has come from all of these great people. So I'm going to call on each one of our speakers. And when I call on you, I want you to introduce yourself, introduce your company, and here's the hard part, tell us one way that this pandemic is going to be changing your organization going forward. And after we go through our speakers, we're going to have our main moderator himself say hello, and he's going to take it from there. So I'm going to call on everybody in the awesome order in which they joined. So we're going to start with the great Philip. Introduce yourself and let us know one way that the pandemic has changed Ralph Lauren and will be changing them long term.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Golmi. I am with Ralph Lauren. As you see, here's our beautiful women's mansion store behind me. I am sitting outside in downtown Manhattan right now. Really, COVID it's changing us in multiple ways. We are actually going to be remote until June of next year. So that's going to be 13 months of remote. Obviously, Zoom is huge for us. But we're really taking this opportunity to improve our technical systems. Like I said earlier, we are upgrading our work in the cloud for Essbase. We're going to the cloud for HFM and FCC. We're doing the same thing on EDW. We're going to Amazon Cloud. We're going to our GLs are going to cloud. So it's giving us the opportunity to increase our technologies, increase our speed, and get better performance for our end users.
Awesome. Thank you, Philip. Let's go from Northeast over to Ohio. Interestingly, I think we have 3 people in Ohio on today. So let's head over to Elizabeth. So introduce yourself and let us know a way that the pandemic has changed Kroger.
I'm Elizabeth Farrell, and I'm at the Kroger Company, which, depending on what part of the country you're in, it may not be called Kroger, but let's see. Philip kind of probably took most everybody's, but I do feel like we are much more comfortable hiring people remote. So now I can get team members that don't have to move to Ohio, can contribute, can work from home. It doesn't mean that you may not have to travel occasionally, but I think we're a lot more comfortable with how this is going to work from now on. And our buildings downtown Cincinnati were getting full, so we were going to have to make some choices, and I think this made them for us. It's been working and working well. So,
awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. I have to admit, I'm missing going to Cincinnati. Just so I can give you all my geek cred. Cincinnati is the home to the building they based the Justice League of America Hall of Justice on, out of DC Comics. And you're driving along the freeway and you look over and like someone built the Justice League, but I think it's like an actual train station or something.
Union Terminal. It's done. It's my favorite building in Cincinnati. I have a picture in my house. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I sent a picture to my kids and they couldn't believe it. They're like, what are you doing in Vancouver, British Columbia? Because as far as they know, all DC things are set in Vancouver, British Columbia because they're all filmed there. But yeah, Cincinnati is absolutely beautiful. And one of these days I'm looking forward to getting back. Let's head down to Texas. Dean, you want to introduce yourself and let us know a way this pandemic has changed your company in the retail world going forward?
Yeah, Dean Tarpley, I'm with Oracle. I'm executive director for retail and consumer goods in the business value services group. And, you know, I guess the one thing that I've seen at Oracle that may or may not surprise people is I've been amazed at how, I guess for lack of a better word, empathetic a large company like Oracle has been through this. And it's really impressed me, be able to work for a company, not only empathetic for the employees, but empathy for our customers. And I think it's real, and I think it'll be long-standing.
Awesome. Thank you, Dean. I've missed Ohio. Let's go back to there. Doug, want to introduce yourself? Oh, Doug, you're on mute. Anybody who was waiting to win Zoom Bingo for me to say, sorry, you were on mute, you've just won. Congratulations.
Oh, awesome. So, yeah, the way we were impacted is one of the things that we figured out, and obviously everybody probably knows this. There's kind of a running joke that you have your pajamas that you sleep in, and you have your pajamas that you work in. That kind of impacted us from a shoe perspective. Everything was dress shoes because everybody went to the office and everybody dressed up, or you had casual clothes. Now we've realized that from working from home, most people are going to more of the athletic wear, more casual. So it really made us stop and think back on how do we approach our users, and we've taken a different approach. And we're more athletic driven probably than we are dress shoes. So that's one of the, I would say that's probably the biggest change for us, is getting used to that. And we've kind of came up with this new concept. We call it nimble on our feet. And what that means is this is probably not going to be the first time or the last time that something's going to change in our world. So we're learning to become more nimble on our feet and adapt to change and make it a quick change. So that's how it's impacted us.
Awesome. Thank you, Doug. I have to admit, I've worn out 2 pairs of tennis shoes over the course of pandemic. I didn't know I was a walker until that was my only option for exercise. I saw Jim Gaffigan tweeted last week, is someone going to let us know when we're all supposed to switch from from shorts to sweats on Zoom meetings? And yeah, that's exactly it. It's like it's a collared shirt from here on up. What do they call it? The Zoom mullet, business on top, party on the bottom.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doug. Glad you're here from DSW. Trey.
Yeah. Hello. I think we're at ATW, I think like most other companies right now, we've had furloughs and layoffs, and I think kind of adopting that, do more with less people, perhaps, do more things with less people. And I think that's what I think has really helped us with the cloud applications, because I think, so much of SCCS and the ePPCS is out of the box. So there's less configuration, less changes. It just kind of works, when you turn it on. And then not having, the physical servers and the monthly patching of the database server and the web server and the app server and the, XYZ server. That takes a lot of the burden off. Or we didn't have that burden because we were cloud first, but as people start switching over to the cloud for security or updates or many of the other reasons that you would go there, I think that's one thing lately that has kind of shown that with less IT people in the back end to quote unquote keep the things running, with the cloud, it's Oracle's responsibility, and gives us a little freedom to do what we need to do day to day to keep the business running.
Awesome. Thank you, Trey. And now we're going to go from Texas over to Arizona. Kevin, do you want to say hello? And I'm dying to hear your answer on how this pandemic has changed your company.
Yes, I'm with Interrel Consulting, a senior consultant. I will say that the pandemic has changed lack of travel. I mean, it's been, at first that was kind of a good thing, but now I'm missing it a little bit, and I'm finding out my Marriott points are starting to dwindle down instead of growing every year. So that's been the biggest change for me. Second one would be the dogs seeing me all the time.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. Ruth Vick, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go for it.
Awesome. Hey, this is Rothrik Kopaluri, and I work for DSW under Doug's leadership. So COVID has really changed us in a lot of different ways, starting from working from home and like our company's policies, being nimble on our feet. I think as a developer, I think the biggest shift would be accelerating our development time and being more agile and probably giving more insights on the data so that we can empower the users to make their business decisions and all that. And cloud has really helped us a lot in developing quick scenarios or quick modeling or anything of that sort. So it's just accelerating to the future. It's just COVID has just added some extra gas into our tank, just to push it a little further, in that direction. So yeah, it's been a great journey. The tool sets are best in class, I think. Work with several other tools, but I think EPM has a bright future. So, yep.
Awesome. Thank you, Rithvik. And let's go to Rob, who is currently in the Mobile Rockmobile. Rob?
Yes, and just so you know, luckily my video is not enabled, so that's so you don't. But unfortunately, you do not get to see the interior of the Rockmobile. But I'm Rob Price. I'm the CEO of School of Rock, and thank you for including me in our company today. I would say for us, the biggest impact of COVID is that it forced us to effectively dissolve the four walls of our schools, and to not think about boundaries, geographic boundaries, time boundaries, channel boundaries in the ways that we had in the past. And that's going to be a very positive outcome because it's forcing us to really think of ourselves as a content company, as a service company, as a entertainment company, as much as a child enrichment company executed in person. And that's helped save us during COVID. And I think it's going to help us thrive when things normalize.
Excellent. Thank you, Rob. And bring us home, our main moderator man himself, Adam. Do you want to say hello and then get us all kicked off in the actual hard questions?
Yes. No, thank you very much, Edward. I appreciate it. So I'm Adam Scott. I run our retail CPG practice here at Oracle across the U.S. and Canada. And I know many of you guys that are joining me today. So thank you once again for the business here at Oracle. And I am out of Columbus, Ohio, so I kind of complete the Ohio puzzle. And if I could say one thing that's changed at Oracle, we did close a handful of offices with COVID. And good old Columbus, being a little bit of a smaller city, our office officially got closed on August 31st. So Russ, Nick, Doug, I may be joining you guys down at DSW. I may just crash in the cafe. Work with you guys there for a little bit, but officially got no office besides what you guys are looking at here in the home office. So thank you guys for the opportunity. Ed, just a time check. How long do we have? Do we have about 30 minutes from now?
Yep, till till 45.
All right. So I guess, I get to ask the hard questions. So what we'll do is I'll try to ask these questions. My goal is to kind of get everyone speaking here, but I'll probably call on you guys just to avoid us jumping on top of each other, and I'll make sure we hit everyone here. So why don't I start, Philip, I'll start with you because I think you got a pretty cool story that I've heard. So maybe I'll give you a two-part question, but maybe kind of why you guys made the move from on-prem Hyperion to the cloud and what that enabled you to do during the recent pandemic events, being able to close some of the books globally.
Yep. Yeah, so Adam, I think you know my story. Adam and Edward know my story best, and how long it's taken. We knew we needed to go to the cloud. I think Edward said it best, when it's not going to be the cloud at some point in time. It's just going to be called Essbase. So we're kind of living by that. We know it's going, on-prem is going away. Our licenses were coming due, so we're like, you know what, it's time. We don't want to have the software, we don't want to have the hardware in-house. We want somebody else to manage this stuff for us. So that made the decision much easier for us, and we're thrilled. We're thrilled with it. And I don't think I said it in my beginning in my presentation, but with our close, we had a town hall meeting in early April, just kind of talking about where everybody's at, what the situation is, and it was right in the middle of our annual close. And in that meeting, I actually got props for the first time from my Asia team that said, we couldn't have done this without cloud, because it gave them the ability to work from home, to log in. If they could not VPN into our on-prem applications, it would have been impossible for them. So if it wasn't for that, we probably wouldn't have closed closed as efficiently as we did at year end, all remote.
No, it's excellent. Thank you. So appreciate that. Why don't I go back to Ohio here with Rusnik and Doug. I'll pick on you guys as a pair here, but I know you guys made the decision to go down the Oracle Cloud path, and maybe just say one or two of the key reasons you guys did that and what that's really enabled you to do in the current business environment that you weren't able to do before.
Sure. Probably one of the biggest things is obviously our business wasn't a central business. It wasn't like the Kroger's or somebody like that. We didn't get some of the benefits from the government, so we were really strapped for cash, and we had a lot of furloughs, and we had a lot of layoffs, and one of the departments that got hit really big was IT. And again, you probably know as well as Arno, we know that it was not a favorable thing with some of the products, and we really had some hurdles to overcome. And it probably couldn't have played out in a better scenario for us, because IT really got a big hit, and where we were needing resources from IT, those were no longer available to us. And so therefore we really had to adapt, and it gave us more opportunity to become owners of our product. And without that happening, FP&A and our accounting team was really being impacted. So I felt like it gave us an opportunity to become more owners of our product, give a better product to our FP&A team and our accounting team, and really show to the business that EPM is a vital piece of our future, that a new ERP system is not going to solve the world. Is it going to solve probably 75% of our problem? Yeah, because we're on an AS400, ERP system, and bringing us to the, a future would be great. But we need these bolted on systems to better get the data in a structure, in an organized way, hierarchy wise, that we need. So that's kind of why we did it.
Yeah, no, thank you. And Doug, we appreciate all the support from the community as well. I know you've done a handful of reference calls, so thank you. Rusnik, do you want to add anything to that from the DSW story? I think you may be on mute.
Sorry.
There we go. No, you're good.
Yeah, like I was telling earlier about, the development speed in the cloud world, it's so easy and fast for us to make any kind of changes or scenario planning or scenario modeling and all. Easy to migrate between different instances. And the nice thing about the enterprise EPM licensing is you can spin up multiple applications or multiple instances with no extra charge. So that's actually a nice thing, especially when we were, planning to migrate on-prem to the cloud. It was just me and Doug had to do it. So we didn't have a a game plan. So there was no proper documentation just because we were on a video version. So it's like we had to, since we had those additional parts or additional instances, we were just playing around, bringing each artifact and seeing how it works. And also, it wouldn't have been possible if it was not the cloud version. So I think some of those things, it's also empowering the developers to do in a more agile way. And also, like, I think with more scenario modeling and more one-off cubes for, different departments within the organization, I think it'll empower the whole organization as well, So I think that's about it.
Okay, thank you. I think, Elizabeth, I'll jump over to you on Kroger. It sounds like Doug's asking you to buy some shoes based on his comment there from Kroger. So,
I am a big fan of DSW shoes. I've walked a lot of miles. And I bought some dress shoes. They were on sale.
I have to confess. I have to confess. Before I worked at DSW, I had never walked into a DSW store. Now I love it, and of course, my kids love it, and the grandkids love it. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, to steal your thunder, Doug. My wife was a buyer for DSW before. A little while back, and I used to remember whenever she made at DSW, she spent on shoes, I can promise, because I think she had 300 pairs of shoes. So we did support, we still do support. And Elizabeth, we do in Columbus, Ohio, support Kroger as well. Yes. So why don't I just touch on with you, obviously you guys had a different challenge during the pandemic, right? Because you guys had probably enhanced demand. You guys had products that were typically stable where, whether it's essentials like toilet paper, paper towels, et cetera, that had higher demand. So how did you leverage the EPM platform and how did you do that prior and how is that changing during the current conditions in the economy today?
That's a good question. And there's so many different pieces to it that that played into it. But our forecasting modeling was really what the EPM is helping us with, because we couldn't anticipate when it was going to stop, and it hasn't. And that's why we're just going with run rate and looking at whether or not the things are calming down, our product mix and what's available. We went from they'll buy anything in the store, anything you set out there they will buy, to now people are price sensitive, but people are also very health conscious. They're cooking at home, they're trying new things. We ran out of spices, things that people are trying new recipes on TV and things like that. So how we leveraged EPM was strictly putting in the product mix and understanding that we were only going to have and sometimes 65% in stock. So we had to go put everything together. A lot of our modeling was assuming our products were there. So now we had to have modeling that included the logistics. So were these items going to make it to the shelves in time for the next, for Memorial Day, or some of the things that we knew people were going to still, maybe not gather, but they were still going to at least cook for their family on those sorts of days. So having to say, we have 30 manufacturing plants. Are we going to focus on getting more peanut butter out and not switching our lines over? Things like that the modeling never took into account. We always kind of pretty much assumed stuff was there and that we could get it and that we could sell it. And now we had to kind of combine the employee resource, which we didn't have enough staff, so we had to hire more people, the logistical resources, and maybe hiring extra trucks and things like that. And then also our merchandising resources. But one thing I kind of wanted to hit on too a little bit, because we had increased costs
Sure.
everywhere. A cost savings that people might be seeing is our consultant fees and everything. They're not traveling. That's a savings for us too. I'm getting a lot more consultant hours for the same price, and that is proving very successful. That's really nice. A lot more brains for less dollars, or I'm spending the same dollars and getting more brains. So I appreciate you guys out there that are in the consulting field.
Hey, well, that's a perfect lead-in. So, Kevin, why don't I jump over to you and just kind of from the Interrel standpoint and from one of our key partners, how has this changed and how you guys work with the Oracle Cloud EPM technology and do that remotely and offer benefits to customers like Kroger remotely in today's world?
Yeah, definitely. The travel being a big piece of that. I know a lot of times. Sometimes I think, we're not getting a bang for the buck if you're not sitting in the office and, are you really working and stuff? But now with Zoom and with Constant being able to do it, it's great, except then sometimes you go from, am I working from home or am I living at work? So you got to have, that balance. But the EPM cloud stuff is really nice because, I'm doing something now with an on-premise and you just forget about the VPNs and having to take care, how big is the hard drives and all that stuff. Now it's just basically a link, you get an email and you're up and running right away with the cloud, and you can send that to everybody. Also, constantly evolving, we start finding things that are a problem, and then now we have, through an SR or an enhancement request, it gets fixed, or it gets fixed in the next patch, or we see it on a roadmap and stuff like that. So it's able to provide a lot more offerings than we were before. And just a little bit of things, as you mentioned before, waking up and, I could be on and start working in 5 minutes, as opposed to, meeting everybody in the lounge, getting into Uber, getting dressed, getting there by the time we get to the office. And then, this kind of means that we're just immediately working and our brains are out there. So it's definitely been a change.
No, it's a good point. Just make sure, Kevin, you're still buying shoes for Doug and Rob.
Oh, yeah.
Buy the shoes.
Yes.
Just buy the shoes.
Sandals out here.
Philip, I'm going to outfit myself in the Ralph Lauren clothes as well. So we'll do that.
Thank you.
So Dean, maybe just a comment from your side on the Oracle side. I mean, obviously our travel's changed a little bit. How we interact with customers has changed a little bit. How are you seeing our customers leverage EPM, and where are you seeing some of those benefits like strategic modeling really show up and make a difference in the environment today?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting, touching on kind of the first part, the way we work with customers really, I think has been, Zoom has been super effective. And it's been really, the first reaction was, how are we going to work with these customers when we can't meet them in person? But I've been just amazed at how effective we've been throughout not just sales cycles, but also working with customers, working on remediation issues or whatever it might be. I think some of them have touched on it, but I think what happens in an environment like this is we take solutions and we stretch it beyond maybe the original intent, and seeing that a lot. So, working with companies that are, not even on this phone, but, spinning up applications quickly to solve very, very complex problems, and sometimes in crisis mode. And so, I'll leave it at that, but, I could go through a whole list of what those applications are. But at the end of the day, they touch on every aspect of the business, whether it's merchandising, inventory management, supply chain, logistics, warehousing, you name it, really outside what we traditionally think in terms of core finance. So I see it every day, and it's really exciting to see the solutions get stretched.
All right, perfect. So Trey, let me jump back over to you here and ask you a little bit of a softball question. Maybe what did you run before the Oracle EPM Cloud, and why did you make the decision to go with the Oracle EPM Cloud?
Yeah, so at ATW, they were kind of stuck in Excel hell, and didn't have any EPM system to go with. So they actually, I think, made the great decision to jump right into the cloud products with FCCS and EPBCS, which just took a ton of, infrastructure, and, we're waiting on the server to come in and, install it and patch it, yada, yada. So I think that helped a lot, just allow us to get up and running super quickly. We did our implementation in 6 months with both apps, kind of in parallel. So that was great. At GameStop, we were on, we had an old, like 10 or 15-year-old Essbase cube that was really used for actuals consolidation. But then the planning was done in Excel. So we started with a Hyperion planning on-prem, and then quickly moved from the Essbase cube and the on-prem planning to kind of getting both the consolidation and the budget and planning within PBCS, which we were able to do just to, I think the way our organization was structured. I know not everybody can do that. And that was also pre the enterprise license change to where, you kind of pay that one fee and get ePBCS and FCCS and really, anything else that's really out there and into the future. So that's where we were before in both companies.
Okay, well, thank you. Yes, I think the packaging, putting everything into the suite has been a benefit out there. So maybe, Philip, let me come back to you. Just so you mentioned, kind of the global nature of what this allowed you to do, and your journey to our cloud. What have you guys changed operationally since you've gone with the cloud? Is there something specific this has enabled you guys to do maybe differently than you did before?
Yeah, so it's more on the corporate side for right now. And it's a lot of what I presented today. It's trying to use Essbase as the one source of the truth. So whatever it is out there, if it's operational metrics, if it's store information, if it's attributing, all of that stuff should not sit in Excel, in databases anymore, whether it's Access, whatever it is. We have to put that stuff into the Essbase applications. So those are some of the big wins that we were doing over the past 4 months. And it's stuff that my team or I would have had to have done, and my team is down to me right now. So it's stuff that I would have to do manually in Excel, which, I threw up my hands and said, I'm not doing this unless if I have a tool. So all of our communications for store counts, for square footage, it all has to be loaded to Essbase. It's all traceable. We can archive it. We can see changes. We can audit it. So those are the big wins that we're getting out of the tool and out of the systems.
Okay, thank you. Rob, why don't I hit you up in the School Rocks van if you're still with us?
Absolutely.
Okay, beautiful. Maybe if
the Rockmobile is fully autonomous. So I'm just napping while we're doing this call and eating sushi. So we're all good.
Perfect. Maybe kind of just a little your journey down the EPM roadmap and how Oracle's been there to support you.
Yeah, I was quite lucky to arrive to an already installed NetSuite implementation, which has been exceptionally helpful. And I would say that we're still quite novices. I would say that the part of the journey that was been most intriguing over the last really 18 months, we got a new CFO, John Capadonna, in soon after I arrived, new controller, largely a brand new finance team. And what became clear, and this may be helpful to folks in some respects because of my relative ignorance versus the rest of the attendees on the mechanics on broader EPM solutions. But what I found is that it demanded two questions which were really important. One is, are we fully exploiting the capabilities in our cloud-based tools before we got excited about additional functionality? or frustrated with what we would perceive as limitations. And it was clear that we weren't even scratching the surface in regards to the capabilities as a relatively unsophisticated user of cloud-based solutions. The second thing that I think has been a part of our journey is it's really exposed real meaningful MDM, master data management issues at our company, because no matter how we slice it, I alluded to this before, is that it's going to be very difficult for us ever to centralize everything into one provider system. We're going to be patching together and piping together and APIing together solutions. But it all really does require coherence in our hierarchies and coherence in the way that we collect data at the individual, our hundreds of schools around the world. And especially being in a franchise environment, there's going to be a lot of change management and culture building around that. So I think those are other considerations that might be applicable to everybody as they're contemplating the next stage in their journey, is just making sure those two dimensions are considered.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's ask a little. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. Have a little competition here. So with Interrel, one of our key partners on the phone, we obviously rely heavily on our partners to implement these products. Why don't we do a little competition on who implemented the fastest? So Doug, maybe DSW, why don't you guys give me how long it took you to implement the Oracle Cloud with, I know you guys use a couple partners there, but give me a time frame.
And I think at the end they did all the heavy lifting themselves. So.
Yeah, I was going to say the initial FCCS and ARCS, that project took, somewhere, the initial one was, I think ARCS was about 6 months and FCCS was probably closer to somewhere between 10 and 12 for us to move. I'm sorry.
We'll go with 6 months. We'll go with 6 months as your winner here.
But as far as moving the individual instances into the new EPM, me and Ruthvik did that basically in about a 2-week window.
Yeah.
And then as far as the on-prem to the cloud, like I said earlier, it took us about a month and a half.
Uh-oh. Well, we should have had you go live. Those are competitive. All right, so Trey, what about ATW? I think you mentioned 6 months, right? Are you sticking with 6 months?
For 6 months, but that's 2 apps. So I don't know if that waiting or anything.
I like that.
You got an average 3-month implementation.
Okay, wait. And Trey, when you were at GameStop and you decided that you just wanted to implement PPCS all by yourself, how long was that start to finish?
So
when other people get out of the way and we just leave it to Trey to go build an app.
I feel like you said you called me 3 weeks after.
Yeah, I think it was.
I feel like that's too short. But if I have a quality external validator, then a voucher, if you will, I don't know. But I'll still go with my 3-month ATW. As GameStop might have been around there, but I can't verify. It's been too long.
Okay, those are good numbers. I like the competition. Philip, what are we going to give for Ralph Lauren here?
Yeah, so three S-based applications, one global S-based application, one brand S-based application. They were all up and running within 3 to 4 months max. 4 months. I think it was more like 3.
Wow. Okay, this is getting competitive. I like it. Elizabeth Kroger, can you beat any of those numbers?
No.
Wait. Take your number and divide it by, what is it, several thousand?
Thousands of
as your denominator.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say Elizabeth's company is 120 billion, so you get a little. Get a size advantage there.
But
Our
yeah,
average is 3 days.
we have yes, we have spun up cubes very, very quickly. We had to for forecasting, but I do think we're probably not winning the speed records because of our size. I did want to show you. I texted my husband. I'm like, go get the bag out of my closet.
I've seen that. That's
There you go.
fantastic.
I have proof.
Yeah.
So I lose.
She wins a
but
prize.
thanks.
Love it. And then why don't we ask Kevin, just from your side, Interrel, what do you think kind of the average, kind of implementations you're seeing out there with Oracle EPM?
Whatever anybody else can do minus one. No, I mean, it's
Higher Interrel.
no, it's tough to judge because everything's unique, and obviously you have huge customers, you have smaller customers, and we kind of run the gamut plus the different products, and it depends on how much they're using. Sometimes we'll do phases too if they want to start getting into something, maybe start with a workforce or something as opposed to putting it all together. So yeah, I mean, it's hard because it can run the gamut, I think.
So I'll tell you the fastest one I've seen during COVID. Is we got calls literally one day apart from two different cruise line companies that we were implementing planning systems for. Suffice to say, they stopped those projects. That's what both the calls were about, because it's really hard to run a business when you only have expenses. Revenue is a key component of your P&L. Otherwise, it's just L. So they called up, and one was based out of the West Coast, and they just put the whole project on hold and said, we don't, at the time, they're like, we think it's going to be on hold for 4 weeks until this whole thing blows over. And obviously, they're not running ships until 2021. The other one was out of the UK, and they called us up and they said, we need to put the planning project on hold where we're trying to build a corporate-wide financial plan. How fast could you get us running with live scenario planning and strategic modeling? And we said, well, how fast do you want it? Because we can aim more bodies at it, we can scope it right. And they said, we need it within 30 days. So we immediately switched everybody the following day from working on the planning project. I think it was either 2 or 3 people on it to doing scenario planning, and they were live 4 weeks later.
Wow, that's impressive. Well, I think those are very, very competitive numbers out there. So thank you, guys. I know we only have a couple minutes, so why don't I just kind of ask one more question here. And, obviously we've had a lot of experience here with Oracle, but how many years have you guys had using the Oracle technology? We'll see who wins this one. Elizabeth, how many years working with some Oracle EPM technology?
EPM, or I mean, does
We'll say EPM.
I mean, does Hyperion count if we go?
Hyperion counts. Hyperion counts.
Then probably 1996, I think. And I wanted to shout out to my other friends.
Wow,
Thank you.
And she's wearing Lululemon she's wearing Lulu bottoms. Just so
there you go. I do have Lululemon outfit. My
She
workout.
studied Lulu and DSW in our presentation, so
There you go. Anyway, but yes, I've been using some type of Hyperion or Oracle or EPM since 1996.
Okay, 96. So that is 96. So what are we at? 24 years? That's impressive. All right, Doug Rutnick, is that right?
Yeah, mine's been around since 2000.
2000. Okay, that's solid, Doug. But right now, Elizabeth's the winner. I don't know what you win necessarily at the end of this competition, but Trey, how about yourself?
Well, first off, I'm waiting for Elizabeth to pull out a pull-behind trailer from her desk. May or may not get that, but yeah, I'm just a wee lass at 15 or 16 years. So
okay, still impressive. Elizabeth's still winning. See, Elizabeth, you're going to win this with the experience. You didn't win the rollout speed, but you're going to win this. Philip, what's your timetable over there?
Well, I was only born in 1996, so right there, Elizabeth has a leg up on me.
Okay.
No, but truthfully, I'm 2000, so she beats me by 4.
You're tied with Doug? Okay,
Yep.
you're tied with Doug. Rob, what about you from the School of Rock Man?
Boy, well, all I know is that I walked into an Oracle shop and was glad to have it because I've had experience in previous lives with Oracle products. But the luxury of being a CEO is that I can be blissfully ignorant about about such archival facts. But I will tell you, you know, having the infrastructure as fast as we're growing, having or certainly were within COVID and now are again, having the infrastructure and the support from our friends at Oracle has been very, very, very important to us.
Hey, Adam,
Perfect. Well, thank you.
Adam, do I get
Dean,
to
go
play?
to you. Dean, 37 years.
No. 1996. I was at Zale Corporation, introduced to a product called S-Base, owned by Arbor Software.
Yep.
And so, Elizabeth, I think it's going to come down to what month.
Oh gosh, I wouldn't even know.
Oh, God.
Wait, do I get to play?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, man.
No. You two take the
Unfair.
win. Like I'll just let Elizabeth and Dean share it.
Yeah.
And
I
I learned it on
what's
Tuesday. Kevin.
What's Kevin's experience?
I'm
Kevin, you get a plus.
yeah, started using it at US Airways probably 2004 as a client, and then
Okay,
kind of so
okay.
not up there with those guys, unfortunately.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the time, guys. Thank you for the partnership from the Oracle side. We really appreciate it. NRL, thank you very much for being a strong partner. Really appreciate the community we've all tried to build, and it's really about helping everyone get to the right place, leveraging the tools, but helping business and helping you guys get the results so we can all continue to grow and make it through some of the challenging times we're in. But we really, really do appreciate the partnership from our community of partners, NRL being one of our very strong partners, along with the Oracle EPM community. As you guys said, I kind of asked that question because I laugh a little, but the Hyperion and how far back it goes back, and even in today's world with Oracle EPM, there's a lot of loyal individuals within this product set, and we can't thank you guys enough